course, the two inductees, well, they're only appropriate because they both came in at the same time in 2006, a magical year, as part of that fantastic draft, which will now have 4 players from the
Not
same
a bad
draft
class.
that'll be in the Saints Hall of Fame, and came from a really good program at Alabama and made his mark immediately, and a guy that was a leader and a guy that was respected and did everything well for this team. And now he's just a television personality. It's all good. Pleasure to welcome 41, Roman Harper, to the show. Roman, great to have you with us. And, hey, once again, congratulations. You hear?
Oh, man, thank you guys, man. Wonderful introduction right there. I appreciate it. And I'm just happy, man. Very, very honored to go. I figured I'd get the call at some point to go in the Saints Hall of Fame, but I think the best part is to be able to go in with Jari Evans, one of my best friends. We got drafted together, and not only that, but he was probably our best player in our draft class, and hopefully he will get the real thing of really getting that call to Canton one day, and hopefully I'll be, Lord willing, I'll be there to see that too.
I talked to him. We had him on the show last night, and I told him the same thing. Jari Evans, I think, is legitimate Pro Football Hall of Fame. Not only candidate, but inductee, a 4-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, played on significant teams, was a great technician, a terrific guy. I couldn't agree with you more. And he said the same thing about you, by the way, about having the opportunity to go in with you. And it's a great process chairing the committee and listening and watching. It was really a pleasure to see that unfold again this year, as I've done for so many years. And listen, extremely well-deserved. But that's not the most important thing in your life right now. You got like a new addition in your life, don't you, Roman?
Yes, I do. And my son, my newest, my baby boy, man. So now we got 4. Crazy. But yeah, my wife, we just had she just birthed our son Soul on Monday morning. So yeah, he's a couple of days old. He's sleeping right now in the living room with everybody. And hopefully we can get through tonight. It's really just all about going back to that mentality of team no sleep. You know, we're just grinding through the late hours. They sleep during the day. He's nursing, doing what he's going to do. And then those hours from like 12 to about 5:30 a.m. We're like, man, it's just, you're just trying to get through it. And my only mindset is, hey, I just got to get to 6 months, right? Like once I get to 6 months, things start to relax a little bit. Then once you get to 12 months, then some other things start to relax. So it's part of it. We've been through this journey before. We'll continue to do it. And I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else than my wife and my family who I have with me.
Michael?
That's great, man. What a great story, and we've all been locked up with each other, so we're all together. I got to tell you something, man. We were familiar with you, watching you with Alabama, with the SEC wars that go on, and when you came, it was like, hey, man, this guy came in like a veteran, and that class was a storied class, which I know Ken's going to talk about in a minute. But at what point was it with you coming in? I mean, you were they call them character guys, and you were one of those. I mean, out of the box, here you are, a rookie, but you were beyond your years in leadership. When did it dawn on you guys? Of course, the emotion of the dome and the comeback and all those things. When did it dawn on you guys that you guys were the adults and you guys were pulling this thing off and something very special was in the making?
Well, I think we were all so young and just wet behind the ears. I don't even think we had time to think about that. We were just really just trying to adjust. You know, we get to a place in New Orleans that was devastated by Hurricane Katrina, so we're not there.
Right.
We're all in Millsaps during this training camp, which was absolutely awful. It was melting our cleats. It was hot. We were losing weight. You know, we're just trying to hold on. And, you know, lo and behold, Jari Evans was the first rookie to be started. And we're on our own little, you know, as the rookies, we had our own little locker room. It was beat down. It was just like some trailers that they had put up. And it was just funny because everything that was going on that whole training camp was awful. Like the showers in the veteran locker rooms, they had all messed up. So now they're coming in our showers, like taking over. So we just got to wait and just be funky for like 30, 40 minutes till the vets get out. It was like anything you name, it happened. And so I don't think we actually understood how good we could be, or, you know, everybody knew Reggie was a baller, but I played from Alabama, big school, pride, all that other things. But Alabama was nowhere near what they are now. We had Jari Evans in the 4th round who looked like this chubby kid. He had these huge bifocals from like the smallest school I'd never heard of. And I'm just like, who is this guy? And he's the first one starting out of all of us. My boy Nico in the 5th round. We had some other guys, Josh Lay, Mike Haas, who everybody was really, really high on, the wide receiver out of Oregon State, who didn't make it at all. You had, lo and behold, Marcus Colston and Zach Street, our 2 7th-round picks. who stuck on and played 10, 11 years. So Street played longer than anybody. So it's just crazy how life works, this whole journey of football. But at the time, nobody had the idea that we'd all play as long as we did, or that we all would have the success that we did. I was just out there just trying to keep up. I had some really great veteran guys in the room with me that really helped me early. And Jay Bellamy, safety, Omar Steinmeier, another safety, Jason Kraft, Fred Thomas, Mike McKenzie. I mean, Mike McKenzie, he was the perfect example of the fact of, like, I had never seen anything like this. I mean, he was on a bike because he was not working out or training that day during training camp, and he had shades on under his helmet. Now, that was my first, like, this is the NFL moment. Like, wow, like, this guy is so cool. He's making so much money. He has shades on underneath his helmet while he's riding a bike because he's not practicing. Like, who can do that? Like, you could never pull that out from college. So for me, those are the things that I take with me and cherish with me that I'll never forget.
Visiting with Roman Harper, who will be inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame later this year. 2006, listen, I mean, we all know what happened in 2005. We live here, and we went through this terrible ordeal with Hurricane Katrina, and the franchise was relocated to two cities. They went 3-13. The city was in disarray. You get drafted here. You come in here, and you had to at least be aware of what had happened. And did that give you any cause for pause about coming here initially?
I was just excited to get my name called. I had no idea when I was actually going to get my name called. I was just excited. I was happy that it was actually in the South. My brother lived in Mobile, so he had a good feeling for New Orleans, but I had never really been there. My college roommate called me and laughed at me because how bad their Saints were. I was like, dude, you guys are going to suck. You guys will never make the playoffs, but congrats on getting drafted. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, hopefully you get your name called, which you did later on, but still. I was just happy to get there. I really hadn't thought about it. I saw all the pictures and everything in the videos leading up to that, and I saw it on TV, but it's hard to put into words until you actually drive down there for the first time. When I'm coming in off of 10, all right, off Alabama, from Alabama, I drive from my hometown of Prattville. I'm driving down in my truck, and I'm driving through there, man. And as I drive through New Orleans East, man, and, you see where Six Flags used to be. It looked about like 1.5 flag by the time I got there and drove through. It was like a bomb it went off. It was, buildings had holes in it. It looked like a fire went off in one of those churches over there in New Orleans East. You're driving through, and it's just kind of scary. Like, street signs are down, and you pull up in Metairie, man, and you go to work. You just trying to go out there and just trying to perform. And I was just really happy to be there, that I was actually achieving one of my goals. I always wanted to be in the NFL since I was little. I never thought I'd ever have the ability to be able to do it, but I always loved the NFL. And for me to have the opportunity to do that, man, that's all I could focus on. That's all I cared about. I was just really, really happy to be there, and actually being around all these other great stars and players. I was just really soaking it all in.
Amazingly, when you saw Six Flags coming in, which is on the left, if you look to the right at the big mega church, that was Michael's church that you're talking to.
Oh, wow.
That was us.
Yeah, it looked like it looked like it had been on fire or something. It was like all that, because they had the brick wall that was kind of torn down right there on 10.
The service road wall had come down there, and the water got up to middle of the door, and I was evacuated in Memphis with some friends, and one of the news channels, they were doing the helicopter thing, and I couldn't, and it looked like a lake, and I saw roller coaster coming out of the water, and then I realized where it was, and he pulled out a little further and actually flew right over the church, and I could see where the water was on my office door. So that was really a weird thing. And I got in there about 10 days later on an airboat, and our buddy Troy Duhan had the dealership, and those cars were stacked on each other. They looked like Hot Wheels had been flipped over.
Over there on the left. Yeah, I saw that too. They all looked messed up.
Right.
You,
hey, let
me
ask you a question.
No idea what New Orleans looked like before. That was my first time putting eyes on the place. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, no, the TV didn't do it justice. And I think you going through it, and I think I've heard Sean talk about it too. There's talk about the responsibility of a ball player, because in some ways you guys really help the psyche of a city. But I think out of the box, even as young guys, you guys grabbed the importance of what you guys could bring to the psyche of a city. I think Sean sold that to you guys out of the box.
Yeah, and you know what? Another great thing that really helped. So Reggie donated a whole bunch of money early. I didn't have the money that Reggie had, so I couldn't do that.
He had it though.
One thing that really pulled at my heart was we had an undrafted quarterback from Tuskegee that was from New Orleans. Like, he was from like the 9th ward somewhere. Eugene was his last name. I first name that's really slipped my mind. But we had an off day, and like getting to ride around with him and actually seeing the city, because he wants to like show us like what it really looked like. I know you can see some of the interstate, but like when you actually go into it and like get off and like seeing stuff, it was mind blowing to see the damage and how much destruction had gone on. And I'm like, it still hasn't changed. It looked so bad. And it was like 8 months later, almost, getting closer to a year, and nothing had really changed. It was like, I think that right there really pulled at our hearts, and was just like, I think, and as we got closer to the season, you really understood that every game was so important to that city because it just gave them relief. All the FEMA trailers, like you don't like forget those things. Like all the FEMA trailers, all the other things. Like you had people that had, one of my teammates, Josh Bullock's over in New Orleans East off of Bullard Road.
Oh, yeah.
He got like 14 feet of water in his house, all the way up to the second floor. So, like, you don't forget those things. It's really hard to ever look past it. And it was sad because it seemed like people had kind of cut the TV off. Next, New Orleans was, out of sight, out of mind. And when you get there, you're like, whoa, like, I was in Alabama. I had no idea it was that bad.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Right.
Visiting with Roman Harper, and, of course, you're talking about Bruce Eugene. Bruce went to Cohen High School and born and raised in New Orleans and played at Grambling as well. And remember Bruce very well. In fact, on the high school
Grambling,
level,
I said Tuskegee. I apologize.
Yeah, he went to Grambling, and he kind of earned the nickname Round Mound of Touchdown in high school. He was a big guy. Didn't look like a quarterback, but he was a good player. So memories, to say the least. So you guys get here in 2006, and you must have thought it was going to be easy. In your first year, you're in the NFC Championship game. Amazing contribution, amazing accomplishment to happen that fast, Roman.
Yeah, and the crazy thing was I tore my ACL in the fifth game. We were doing really well. I thought we'd just keep it rolling. First of all, nobody thought we'd make it as far as we did or even have a good team that year. We, lo and behold, and somehow or another, we ended up with like the second or third, like the second seed, and had a bye and everything with like 10 or 11 wins. It wasn't like a crazy amount of wins that we had. It just kind of worked out the way it did. And that team was so special because we were so gritty. We really trusted each other. We were not the best team talent-wise, but we played really tough. We were explosive offensively. Defensively, we were savvy enough to make some plays here and there. Very fun team to watch. We had Deuce. We had Reggie. We had Colston coming out of nowhere. Drew was young. We had some long hair at the time. It was cool. And we really went on a run. It was just amazing to actually see that team, like, actually win the Saints' first playoff game. Like, that was amazing to me. I was like, man, this team's been around this long, and this is the first time they've ever won a playoff game. It was great to be around it, the atmosphere, everything that went into it. And I just thought we'd just keep it rolling. Next year, you just kind of bring everybody back. You're used to college mentality. You look up next year, we're 7-9, 8-8. Next year, 8-8, 7-9. The next boom, Super Bowl year. So it just kind of really resets your mind, because just because you're good one year doesn't mean that equates to anything the following year. Every year you start over from ground zero, and you got to earn every single bit of it.
We see that in the NFL every year, and of course, I still say, and I told Jari the same thing, I still believe the 2011 team was the best team. I thought that was the most talented
Everybody says
team.
that. Everybody knows that. That's the truth. That is a true statement. That is a true statement.
It's such a difficult year. And people, just to recollect, you just mentioned 2006, you win 10 games and you're the second seed. 2011, you win 13 games and you can't get home field. And have to go out to Candlestick and overcame the deficit, overcame the interceptions in the first half. Breeze has a big second half. Graham has a huge second half. Pierre got knocked out in the first quarter, overcame the deficit twice in the fourth quarter. We all know what happened at the end, and it was so difficult because there was no doubt in my mind you were the best team, and no doubt you would have whipped the Giants, whom you destroyed earlier in the season, right?
Yeah, and they would have had to come to the Superdome, which Eli did not want to see that. I promise you that. It's weird how things work out, and, it was such a disappointing day. I played that game injured. I felt like I played well, had some ups and downs, but nothing's ever perfect. We battled our butts off. We had 5 turnovers, 6 turnovers. We played awful, and we still had a chance because we were that good. That team was way good, and we played lights out. We had won 8, 9 straight games at one point in time, and everybody that played for all those teams, we all say that 2011 team was our best team because talent-wise, we were lights out. We We were explosive. We forced turnovers defensively. We were very salty defensively. We were better statistically in 2011, offensively and defensively. The biggest difference in 2009, we created more turnovers. And lo and behold, that's what won us the game in the Super Bowl, too, against Tracy Porter and the interception. So our DNA of who we were never really changed. It was amazing to see it. It's just unfortunate we didn't win that game. But yeah, it was like a heartbreak to, like, I get to the locker room. My oldest daughter was born in the second quarter of that game. So actually getting back home and getting to see her, it was a blessing. It's like a blessing and a curse. So I went from, like, down and out to, like, man, I have a daughter. And my wife and everything she was my girlfriend at the time. And getting back to her and going to check on her. And it was just full of emotions that day. I remember I got back home. I went to IHOP and walked in Metairie just to, like, get my mind about me because I didn't want to go there feeling all emotional. I just really needed to calm down, and no reason to rush over there at 3 or 4 in the morning, getting back from San Francisco.
What a great story. Hey, let me ask you, what's it feel like? You know what the Super Bowl feels like, and we can get a grip of that. But what does it feel like that Vikings game, that championship game, and you just wait for that time to run out, and you know you got Favre over there, and you know what he's done in the past. What's going through your mind and what's your stomach doing on a championship game like that? That means you are going to the big game.
You know, when you're playing the game, I've noticed this since I retired. When you're a fan and you're watching it, the game is way more crazy and sporadic and messes with your emotions and your heart. When you're playing the game, you don't have time. I'm so locked in. I'm so focused on my job. I'm just I'm like in the middle of war. You don't have time to relax. You don't have time to think about anything else. I'm not focused on what our offense is doing because I'm trying to prepare for the next series defensively. I'm just locked in. And then all of a sudden you get out of it and you're like, man, like I didn't even realize that like they were in field goal position that they probably could have made the kick if they don't get that 12 guys in the huddle penalty. And then, then next you know, now they instead of run the ball, they just throw it and Brett Favre throws the interception. It was just like I didn't even realize that at the time, like how crucial all those little nuances are that go into getting a win. But man, look, I've been to 2 Super Bowls. I've been to a lot of playoff games. I've been to a lot of successful seasons. And to win it all, I've done that once in my life. To win it all, you got to be lucky. You got to be healthy. The ball has to bounce your way. You got to be able to win games that you had no reason to win. Like everything has to go your way. And then
Robert Meacham has to steal a ball.
Yeah, and you still got to be able to win the big game, right? So you still got to be able to do the right thing to win it all. So it's just so tough to do it, man. You know, I won the game against the Colts. I was on the team that won it, and we were the underdog by like a touchdown or so. And then when I went to Super Bowl 50 with the Panthers, we lost to the Broncos, who I think if we play them 10 times, we beat them 8 or 9 times. Like there's no way I thought we were going to lose that game. And lo and behold, we lose the game. We played our worst game all year in the biggest game and on the biggest stage. And that's what football is. So you never know because any given Sunday, anything can happen.
All is forgiven now, but how the Saints fan treat you when you came back with the Panthers?
You know what, man? It was good. First of all, a lot of the Saints fans were happy I was gone because they thought they had my replacement and it was time for this, and this. So when I left New Orleans, it was not on good terms. And I had a lot to prove. I came to Carolina, was in the division, so I felt very comfortable about that. And immediately we had to, I had success. The team we struggled with early in 2014, but we got hot late. We made some changes defensively. We, and I still tell Sean this all the time because his worst defeat in the Superdome as a Saints coach was from my team with the Carolina Panthers when we hung up 41 on them. My number, 41-10, we beat them. It was beautiful. It was amazing. And then we go on to clinch the NFC South Division the very next week, and we go into the playoffs at 7-8-1. We win a playoff game. It was crazy. And then the following year, we start off 14-0, and I never thought that ever happened because, as the season goes on, everybody's like, man, has anybody ever been 6 or 7-0? And nobody ever been more than 7-0. I think Peanut Tillman did that with Chicago Bears, or 8-0. And I was like raising my hand like, dude, I was 13-0 with New Orleans. Like, I don't know if everybody's ever been able to do that. And we go on to be 14-0 before we finally lose a game, which, I think has only been like 9 teams in the NFL that's been 13-0 or more. And I've been on 2 of them. So it's crazy that I've been a part of so many winning teams and winning legacies and things like that. But, You still got to win the whole game. You got to win it all, or it's nothing special. And if I win the Super Bowl 50, I probably retire and just walk away and don't have that chance to actually come back and really humble myself, have Sean and Mickey humble themselves and accept me back openly, and really just kind of rehash everything. And now I can walk away from this game correctly as a New Orleans Saint.
Just a minute or two left with Roman Harper. This is a sports and faith show, Roman. And 2012, you had to have a lot of faith to be able to go from the highest of the high to the lowest of the lows. That had to be something that tested everyone's faith and the difficulty of what the Saints franchise endured. And it was so disappointing because this was a team that was in its prime. As I mentioned, the 2011 team was, I thought, the most talented ever. And had the band stayed together and there wasn't all of these distractions and suspensions, I think that could have continued. That had to be tough, and it had to test your faith.
It was extremely tough. Not only that, but, I mean, the Super Bowl was in New Orleans. We were ready to go. And then all the changes happened, all the bounty stuff happened, and it comes out like it's a whole bunch of fluff. You know, it sucks. We had coaches telling on each other. We had all kinds of other things, and you just control what you try and control. And all you want to do as a player is just go out there and perform at the highest level. You want to be coached hard. You want to play hard, and do what you do. And but it's one of those things. You take it as a life lesson. You learn from it. It continues to help mold you, build you to build your character, and you just get slapped around a little bit. Nothing's ever going to be pretty. It's just always be perfect. So it's just part of the journey, man. It's part of a chapter in my life I can write about, but it's just part of it. And you move on from it. And 2013 was a lot better. It happened to be my last year in New Orleans, but it is what it is, and I'm better for it. Carolina was one of the best things that ever happened to me because when I left in 2013, I was a man in age, but I was not a man as maturity when it came to being a husband, a father, all the other things that are way more important than the game of football. And I think I got that, and I got a lot of growing up to that happened for me internally when I got to Carolina.
Special final thought as we let you get away. Now you're a commentator. You're moving up in the world from television, from local at DSU here to being seen on SEC television and more. Talk about your TV career as we let you get away.
Oh, man, it's exciting. Well, so first of all, I would neither confirm nor deny any of the rumors going on until ESPN releases their own official statement. I will put that out there first. But if I do have that opportunity to call games, and not really call games, but talk about that, man, and the SEC, where a conference that I love. I'm come from the Alabama, and being able to be around these places, I'd be so excited. And the best thing to me is that I actually get to go and visit these places. Like, I played a lot of these stadiums and places, but I just go there, be in a hotel for a couple hours, and play a game, and I go home. So I don't know what any of this campus life is like. I don't know what the college atmosphere is like at some of these other big campuses. I know what the SEC brings, but you got to understand, the camaraderie and all the college stuff that they have, most professional teams wish they had it. All right, New Orleans Saints is a special place because they have a lot of that same type of feel because of the city of New Orleans and their love for that team. But most people do not have that. And for me to be able to see it week in and week out, it's going to be an amazing opportunity. The team that I might be able to have the opportunity to work with is awesome. And I'm just really looking forward to it. It's going to be, blessings on top of blessings for Roman Harper. And I cannot thank God enough for everything that he's done for me.
Well, the Lord is good. God is good all the time, and all the time God is good. And God's been good to Roman Harper, but he's been good to football and good to New Orleans, and we're so happy about your pending induction into the Saints Hall of Fame. Richly deserved, class act, excellent player, good man, good family man. What's not to like, right? 41, Roman Harper. Congratulations, and we sure look forward to having you here in the fall, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much, guys. You have a great one. Have a blessed one. Thank you.
Lord bless you and keep you, man. Get some rest.
I will.
With 4 children, you better get some rest. Thank you, Roman. Appreciate that. That's Roman Harper, Saints Hall of Famer to be.